morning, everybody. Welcome along to Monday Morning Melodies. You're with Mike Baker. I'm here with you for the next hour to help get our week started with a little bit of melody. We like to say that it's good to start the week with a song in your heart. I welcome you along today. It's Monday, isn't it? It's, I'm looking outside and it looks deceptively warm. Although I know this morning was a little bit of a cool start. I don't think those frosty mornings are far away. Folks, we come to you as we do every week from Goulburn, New South Wales, and I'm streaming to you in association with the Hume Conservatorium. It's our pleasure to be able to reach out to all of our friends in the care community and the wider community too. We welcome you along. We say hello also to your carers if they're tuned in. It's lovely to have you along too. We hope there's something for you this morning on the menu, on the musical menu. The good thing about music, as I like to point out, is that it's non-fattening. You can binge on music and you won't put on a single calorie. How about that? Or a single what shall we say? We used to say pounds. Doesn't sound right, does it, to say you're not going to put on a single gram or a single kilogram. Anyway, showing my age. Folks, now, as I say, it's a beautiful day outside here in Goulburn town. The sky is blue, but I know if I step outside the door, there's going to be a little bit of a bite in the wind. We've had a little bit of an Antarctic blast came through on Saturday, and it stayed with us, keeping the temperature down and keeping it fairly cool. All right, to get started today, I'm going to let you know that some friends who were online last week thought that it was good that I played a couple of Peter, Paul and Mary songs, and I said to them, if I can, I'm going to see if I can line up a few more for you this week. And I've got a few of those on the program today, but to get us started, something a little bit smooth and something that might get you started with some gentle movement. Always nice if you can move when there's a bit of music on. I'm going to play you something very nice. It's a favourite of mine. I like to play Errol Garner's Misty. It's a beautiful melody, and even if it just gives you a little bit of an opportunity to get the shoulders moving, move the head a little bit, whatever you're comfortable with. And if you've got a bit of mobility too, you might like to be up and moving your hips or shuffling around a little bit. If you're at home too, this is an invitation to you for a little bit of a gentle workout. We're not into anything high velocity or high energy here at Monday Morning Melodies, but we'd love to know that you're out there moving along. Remember, folks, that if you've got your computer or your laptop or whatever, or your iPad in front of you or your phone, whatever, you can talk to me in the comments section and I will see your comments. If you're out there, let me know that you're on the other end of the line, just with a hi, and I'd love to acknowledge that you're out there. Here we go. The beautiful Misty. Errol Garner's Misty from 1953, I believe. Could have even been 52. Garner's Misty. You know, I'm going to pull up for a minute. This is what had me a little bit bugged. I'm going to own up to... I did a gig on the weekend, and I took this keyboard with me, and it just... In the middle of that, I thought to myself, where's my sustain gone? There it is. Let's have another 8 bars of Misty with the sustain pedal. Oh, that's better. So yes, I played on the weekend. I played with a band of like-minded folks. We did a bit of an afternoon spot at the Goulburn Club. We played in the courtyard down there. It was a little bit brisk, but gee, we had a good crowd. Everybody came rugged up with their parkas, and some people even brought blankets. But anyway, I think we got the blood circulating for them. That was a group of folks. We call ourselves the Travelling Wannabes. And there was a hot time in Goulburn Club on Saturday afternoon. Anyway, I had the keyboard packed up and down there. So unfortunately, I neglected to plug that sustain pedal in, and it's pretty right now. Some of you who play piano would know that oftentimes you've got, with a piano, especially an upright piano, you might have 3 pedals. Sometimes you've got 2. And the important one is the sustain pedal, the one that holds the note down. Like, I can take my hand off. You can probably still hear that ringing, can you? Let's do a nice big chord. Look, until I let my foot off. And that's the lovely thing about a sustain pedal. Life's a bit hard without a sustain pedal. Here's a waltz time tune for you. Moving in 3. You recognise that one, I hope? Mr. Bojangles. That wonderful song from the late 1960s, sung by a fellow called Jerry Jeff Walker, about a fellow who travelled throughout the South. Basically, we'd call it busking, wouldn't we? Singing for his supper and dancing for his supper with his dog. Bit of a sad edge to it because he doesn't end up in life doesn't work out very well for old Mr. Bojangles, but it's a lovely song. I enjoy playing that. We might get things swinging a little bit. I've got a Benny Goodman tune for you about how it must have been moonglow. It must have been moonglow way out in the blue. It must have been moonglow that brought me straight to you. They don't write lyrics like that anymore, do they? More's the pity. That's what I say. Moonglow. It must have been moonglow way up in the blue. It must have been moonglow that led me straight to you. I still hear you saying, now dear, hold me fast. And I started praying, oh Lord, please let this last. Now we seem to float right through the air. Heavenly choirs seem to come from everywhere. And now where there's moonglow way up in the blue, I'll always remember that moonglow gave me you. Maybe one for the piano player, eh? It must have been moonglow way up in the blue. It must have been moonglow that led me straight to you. I still hear you saying, now dear, hold me fast. And I started praying, oh Lord, please let this last. We seem to float right through the air. Heavenly choirs seem to come from everywhere. And now where there's moonglow way up in the blue, I'll always remember that moonglow gave me you. That a moonglow gave me you. That moonglow gave me you. Yeah! Benny Goodman was one of the pop stars of his day. He was especially popular just before and after the war, during the 30s and the 40s and into the 50s, very popular too. And Benny quite often had a female vocalist with him. I'm not entirely sure who would have been singing that one. Of course, Benny was a clarinetist, a wonderful jazz and swing clarinetist. Yes, Benny Goodman. The clarinet, I wonder if they still call it the licorice stick. I used to think of that, the big, long black clarinet. Lovely sound. Okie doke. So that gets us off to a bit of a start this morning. How about we keep a little bit of the groove going? Let's keep a little bit of the groove going. Let's try a song that... I'm thinking of Willie Nelson. I better not think of Willie Nelson. We had all our Willie Nelsons last week, didn't we? Glenn Campbell. Thinking of Glenn Campbell. If you see your brother standing by the road with a heavy load from the seeds he sowed, and if you see your sister standing by the way, just stop and say, hey, you're going the wrong way. You've got to try a little kindness, shine a little kindness, shine your light for everyone to see. And if you try a little kindness, you'll overlook the blindness of narrow-minded people on the narrow-minded streets. Don't walk around the down and out, lend a helping hand instead of doubt. And the kindness that you show along the way will help someone to find their way. You've got to try a little kindness, show a little kindness, shine your light for everyone to see. And if you try a little kindness, you'll overlook the blindness of narrow-minded people on the narrow-minded streets. If you see your brother standing by the road with a heavy load from the seeds he sowed, if you see your sister falling by the way, just stop and say, hey, you're going the wrong way. You've got to try a little kindness, show a little kindness, shine your light for everyone to see. If you shine a little kindness, then you'll overlook the blindness of the narrow-minded people on the narrow-minded street. That was a hit for Glenn Campbell. Glenn Campbell had a lot of great songs, and he covered a couple of songs by a fellow called Jimmy Webb. I might pull some of them up next week. One was called By the Time I Get to Phoenix. Another one that he had a hit with was called The Wichita Lineman. Both very fine songs from the pen of Jimmy Webb. And let's see where we can go to this morning. Look, while I'm on the subject of singing, here's a song that Bobby Darin updated. When I say updated, this was originally written by a fellow called Kurt Weill. And it wasn't originally a swing song. Bobby Darin turned it into a swing. If I play a little bit of the melody, I bet you recognise it. I'll play a little bit of the melody before I put the words in. This one? It's called Mac the Knife. Oh, the shark has scarlet billows, they start to spread, Fancy gloves, though, has Magheath, dear. So there's not a trace of red on the sidewalk. Sunday morning lies a body that's oozing life. Someone sneaking around the corner. Could that someone be Mac the Knife? And from a tugboat by the river, a cement bag is dropping down. The cement's just for the weight, dear. I beg you, Mac is back in town. He disappeared, dear, after drawing out all his cash. And Magheath spends like a sailor. Did our boy do something rash? Suki Tawdry, Jenny Diver, Polly Peachum, and Lucy Brown. All the line forms on the right, dear. Now that Mac is back in town. Bit dark, those lyrics, but it's a cool swinging song. I hope you got a bit of a shuffle going for Mac the Knife. Mac the Knife, gee whiz. Bobby Darin updated that, and it's from now, I'm going to test my memory here, is it the Threepenny Opera? A piece of musical cabaret made popular in Germany between the wars, with music by a guy called Kurt Weill. Oh, I've got a year here, 1928. There you go. 1928, between World War I and World War II, at a time when there was a lot of turmoil going on, wasn't there, in Europe, which inevitably led to World War II. Anyway, we're not going to dwell too much on that. Having said that, though, there's a little bit of a peripheral reference here. I've got a march tune for you. This kind of march. Not the other march. The other march is gone. This kind of marching tune with this kind of a... This is a good one for getting the shoulders moving. This is from a TV show. I hope you recognise this one because it was pretty popular. I think it remains popular, this, with a lot of people. So let me see if I can get my fingers across this one for you. Remember it? Kitchen, you might have a bit of a marching step going on. Looking outside, this day's turning out okay, actually. Sun's looking beautiful, sky's looking blue. Do you recognise this tune? TV theme. orange key. Did you recognise it? Hogan's Heroes. That was a very funny show, wasn't it? From back in the days of black and white television. Classic characters, a lot of laughs in this show. Let's go back to the original key. I think we should have it again. What a great old show, what a great title theme that was. It sounds like it's a lot older than what it is. It sounds like something that could have come out of the 19th century. Sounds like even a Sousa march. Sousa wrote, he was a composer of marching band music, very, very popular too. It sounds like it could nearly be one of his march tunes. But of course that was written purposefully for the theme music to Hogan's Heroes, the television show. I bet a lot of you listening will remember Hogan's Heroes. Who was that funny fellow? Schultz, wasn't he? He was the inept guard. There was Colonel Clink, and he was pretty inept too from memory. Did he have a monocle? I think he might have had a monocle, did he? You know, one of those little single eyeglass things. And of course, all the folks in the, all the prisoners in the camp used to pull the wool over their eyes a fair bit. And that's what drove the humour. Okay. You know, there's not a lot between march music and ragtime music. So I've got a little tune for you now. It's a simple sort of a ragtime piece. We're going to put it together for you. Let's give it a little bit of an introduction, shall we? I think we might give it 8 bars even. Called Tiger Rag. tiger. Ooh, that tiger. Tiger rag. Doesn't that swing along? And that takes us back actually to the same period in world history, in 20th century history. Tiger rag was one of those tunes that they used to really hot-foot it to. The 1920s were called the Roaring Twenties, weren't they? Were they the Roaring Twenties? In fact, we're 100 years later now. You know, when there was a lot of jitterbugging going on, and Charleston, and all these dances, and they called the dancers, they called them the flappers, didn't they? I seem to remember. This was the era, once again, between the wars. This time, though, this music comes from the United States. And it's sort of like a cross between a bit of ragtime and a bit of march music with a bit of swing there. And you might have heard, I got sidetracked in the middle of that because the chord changes are the same as Won't You Come Home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come? Let's maybe try a little bit of Bill Bailey, will we? See if I know the words. This might be a better place to play it down here. Oh, now, won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come home? I cried the whole night long. Papa, I don't know the words. But it occurred to me in the middle of playing Tiger Rag there that it was actually pretty much the same song. That happened a lot, didn't it? In music, there's a lot of borrowing that goes on. Here's a beautiful, beautiful piece of music. It's one of my favourite melodies. We call this Monday morning program Monday Morning Melodies, and this one sure does qualify as a beautiful melody. that beautiful melody is called Moonlight Serenade. And normally when we hear that played orchestrally. In other words, well, it was a hit, and it was written by Glenn Miller for the Glenn Miller Orchestra. And Glenn Miller Orchestra, like the big bands of the time, was able to really, to really develop a melody. Because they would often have 4 or 5 trumpets. You know, they'd have clarinets, they'd have a full saxophone section. There would be trombones, a rhythm section with a piano and a banjo and a string bass and you're talking about 20 musicians there on stage creating beautiful harmonies and beautiful arrangements. And hits like that, Moonlight Serenade, I think that's probably one of my favourite melodies of all time. So we're going to put that one to the side, I think. I threatened before, not that threaten's the word to use, but I said that I would try and come up with a couple more Peter, Paul and Mary songs. Last week we played Blowing in the Wind. The answer, my friend, is Blowing in the Wind. And I think we might have played something else, did we, last week too, that was a Peter, Paul and Mary song. Anyway, I thought I might see what we could do with a song like this. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out dangers, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. And I'd ring around danger, I'd ring out warning, I'd ring about the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, I'd sing around the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. I got a hammer, and I got a bell, and I got a song to sing all over this land. Hammer of justice, it's a bell of freedom, it's a song of love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land, all over this land, all over this land. If I Had a Hammer was a big hit, wasn't it, for Peter, Paul and Mary? It comes from the school of songs, I think you'd say the school of the genre, that we call protest songs. As folk music was still very big back in the early 1960s, and then a young rooster called Robert Zimmerman went to New York, changed his name to Bob Dylan, and took the world by storm, wrote incredible songs. And I think people thought that, I'm pretty sure that had a lot to do with the big waves of change that happened in the 1960s. The whole civil rights movement, which you would know about, that the 60s was a time of civil unrest, wasn't it? But it was also a time of a lot of beautiful music being written. And amongst that were songs like If I Had a Hammer by Peter, Paul and Mary. I'm going to put this next one in. And the reason I'm putting this in is that for my own selfish reasons, I wanted to see if I could learn this song to play for my grandkids. My grandson Rudy and his brother Dominic, and my granddaughters Edie and Octavia. I'm putting together a few little songs for them. Now, one of these Peter, Paul and Mary songs lends itself, it's a kid's song really, so you won't mind, and you'll know the chorus too, so please join in. It's about a boy called Jackie Paper, unusual name, isn't it? And he had a friend, a buddy called Puff the Magic Dragon. And I've got to learn this song properly. You're my guinea pigs today, helping me to learn this song. Let's try putting it together. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Oh, this is the part you'll know. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sails. Jackie kept a lookout perch on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whenever they came. Pirate ships would lower their flag when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. A dragon lives forever, but not so little boys. Painted wings and giant rings made way for other toys. One grey night it happened, Jackie Paper came no more, and Puff the mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. His head was spent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. Puff no longer went to play along the cherry lane without his lifelong friend, quietly slipped into his cave. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. A few kiddie songs this morning. Another one, you'll know this one too actually. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to use you as my guinea pigs today. Remember the one about the meatball that rolled off the table and onto the floor and into the garden? I know a few verses of that. Just while we're in a juvenile frame of mind. Then I'll get back to some other stuff. Just trying to think now. Remember On Top of Spaghetti? Let's see if we can do it down here, might be easier. On top of spaghetti, all covered with cheese, I lost my poor meatball when somebody sneezed. It rolled off the table and onto the floor, and then my poor meatball rolled out of the door. It rolled in the garden and under a bush, and then my poor meatball was nothing but mush. And I think there is another verse too about something about if you eat meatballs and something or other, make sure you have it with tomato sauce. I don't remember, do I? Anyway, here's a song that you'll know from the movie The Sound of Music. It's a Waltz Time. We had another Waltz Time song earlier. In fact, the one we just played was Waltz Time, wasn't it? Very good for moving around in the waltz rhythm. And like I like to say about songs in 3/4, they drag you along with them. Those songs in waltz time, they just drag you along with them. So not very hard at all to find the rhythm. And here's one that was a popular song from The Sound of Music. favourite things from The Sound of Music, from the wonderful songwriting team of Oscar Hammerstein and Richard Rogers. Richard Rogers. My favourite things. Classic piece of music, and a lot of people have done things with that song. In fact, it's become a little bit of a favourite for jazz players too. They like to improvise on that one. Okay, how are we going for time? We're getting very close to time. I had this one here. I enjoyed playing this one during the week. I've got 2 songs to go here today. I enjoyed rediscovering this melody. An Australian composer who you would know if you've had anything to do with, being a TV viewer over the years. Jeff Harvey wrote this music. Do you remember Jeff Harvey? He used to be the musical director, band leader on a lot of the talk shows, and I think he was on, what was that show? It was New Faces. I think he used to lead the band in accompanying the acts on New Faces, and I'm pretty sure, you remember the Mike Walsh show, that lunchtime show that used to be on. Anyway, he was a terrific composer too, and this is one of his pieces. You'll recognise this one, I'm sure you will. This is some theme music that Jeff wrote for the Sullivans. Here's how it starts. Starts up here now. And I played that one because I was thinking about Jeff Harvey the other day. Jeff retired to the Southern Highlands, to somewhere up in the Bowral area, up that way, and I think he even had a business there, a hotel that he used to run. Anyway, we lost Jeff a couple of years back, and I came across that television theme, and realising as I did that it was a Jeff Harvey composition, I thought I'll put that in today. We're about finding melodies that we can connect with here on Monday Morning Melodies, and the theme music for the Sullivans would, I'm thinking, connect a lot of people with memories of watching that series and about the Sullivan family. Who was in that? Is it Lorraine Bailey? I think she played the mum. And that fellow, Danny, you might know, I've got my son here with me, from, what was it? The Castle. Michael, what was his name? Was he in that? Was he? Oh no! Wait a minute! It wasn't him at all. No. Okay. I'm going to have to stand by and let someone correct me on who played the lead role. I'm thinking of the wrong character there in the Sullivans. But just to take us out today, I'm going to give you about another 16 bars, and then we're going to say good day, and hope to see you again next week, same time, same place. Let's go out with another 16 bars or so of that wonderful Sullivan's melody. everybody. See you next week.